So Analysts was a category we wanted to take some time to pull out. We think that the internet has transformed where people get information, how they get information, and who they believe and who they trust. And so in a world where there is constant noise, constant provocation, who you listen to is a act of discernment, and it's an act of trust. And so we both, I would say, try to have pretty thoughtful ears. And so these are people that we believe are high signal and low noise. What I mean by signal is that they are aware enough of what is going on, but they are principled enough to only share things with their audience they think will help them understand the context they're coming from and empower them to make decisions that are in their best interest, or to understand the environment that they're navigating with more awareness. And so I think that over time, that means that they have grown in trust, not retracted. I think this year we've seen a lot of people retract in trust. So that's where we're coming at this one from. I have a few, but we're going to switch it up. Carl, who are your analysts?
So I have 5 analysts in my list. My first analyst is Alicia, the Luncheon lawyer, who is a criminal defense attorney based out of Atlanta, Georgia. She basically does criminal law on Instagram.
Why is Cassie testifying? Why is Cassie testifying? Because she's under a
federal subpoena. What are you talking about? This is
a federal RICO trial. She's not testifying because she wants to. She's testifying because she has to. You don't get a choice. The choices
are come to court and testify or go to jail.
Any big case that happens in media, she's actually applying the law to all of these cases. She's applying procedure to all of these cases. And as a result, like, not only she's doing it, but she's doing it in a very fun way. And as a result of the way she's doing things and how detailed she is, a lot of people are actually learning the entire process of being a criminal defense attorney. Also, ironically, applying a lot of her analysis to it, like, a lot of folks were able to kind of get an idea of what would happen with cases. And usually when you'll find, I'm not trying to bash my profession, but a lot of lawyers who are online usually are engaging in a level of puffery. They're saying, hey, I think this is going to happen, but they're not really providing a lot of reasoning behind that. And Alicia's providing some real transparency in this space, and she's really, like, being serious about the work that she's doing. So I love what she's doing as an analyst and on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Another analyst who really, I would say, is also a historian is Professor Skye. He's on YouTube. He's a big YouTube guy, but he's also on Instagram. He's really known as a music professor. He does record reviews for fun, but he has a second channel with way less subscribers where he teaches, and he's currently teaching a course on the entire history of Haiti and why Haiti is the most important country in the world. I have never learned so much about where my parents have come from before until I discovered that channel. So any person who's Haitian, I highly recommend that you get tapped in with his channel on YouTube. Lock in, get your notebook. It's not this boring, laborious history lesson. It's like contextual. There's no winners, there's no losers, there's no good people, there's no bad people, and he's using some of Haiti's best historians as his source material. So Professor Skye is someone that folks should really tap in with. My third analyst is Nick Maggiulli. If you watch the show, you've seen us, show love to him. He's the author of The Wealth Ladder, and he basically uses data to tell you why and how you should think about your wealth. Most folks that kind of are in the wealth management business or in the financial literacy space, usually, they're some of them do like gotchas, like, oh, invest in a stock, you'll make $1 bazillion. Oh no, it's just financial literacy. It's not financial advice. But Nick is he's doing real research, using real data. And even if the data is telling him something that he didn't believe before, he's telling you what the data is telling him. He's honest, he's transparent, he's real, and his book, The Wealth Ladder, really knocked it out the park. My fourth analyst is Oren Meets World. Oren is a person who's been through every single level of the marketing industry and advertising industry. And he's decided to kind of bring all of his knowledge onto Instagram and democratize it for all folks who want to build a brand. I think if you're trying to build a brand and you want to know not only how to build one, but also what's innovative, you want to tap in with Oren. Not only is Instagram's great, but his YouTube is super detailed. Like, honestly, before you even hire a marketing team, you can sit down and build right off of Oren's YouTube videos. And then from there, you're building on top of that, right? And my last analyst is Kyla Scanlon. Obviously, John, I know you love her too. She's not a formal economist, but she's been writing and doing content about economics for years. She actually has a word that she coined called vibe session. And part of the reason why, folks love Kyla so much is because she goes into detail about the core of economics, right? And she actually changes the framing of the way you think about economics as this like hard science that's reserved for only PhDs to, hey, everybody's an economic actor. The way we feel about the market is something that matters to economics. The way we feel about each other is something that matters to economics. And to see someone kind of break these things down in that way and make them fun and enjoyable, I think is really necessary for the science.
I have three. So one is a woman named Sinead Bovell. She's got a podcast called I've Got Questions. She's a futurist. And so her work is around what will the future look like. And it's important to think about the future is a series of decisions we're making now. It's not actually a guarantee, which means we can actually affect what it looks like, which is the definition of using your agency. Do with that what you will. But in her podcast, she uses questions to talk about AI. And I think that's really important because traditionally the way we talk about AI is as if it is fixed. The outcomes are fixed. The models are fixed. The reality of what's going to happen to us is fixed. The singularity is fixed. And there are commercial and philosophical reasons people would talk to you about those things being immovable. Because if I tell you this wall cannot be moved, but the wall is actually on wheels, if you never press against it, nothing changes. And so what I find powerful what she does is she will sit down and the interview format of the show is inquiry. It's here's what we know. What do you think? And so she's interviewing journalists, economists, heads of AI labs through a Socratic method. And I think that actually invites people who see themselves as non-technical to instead think about the technology as having an impact on their life, whether they acknowledge it or not. And that allows the conversation to be participatory, which is very different than making it aspirational. So hoping you get to be in that conversation is very different than the conversation being open to you. She's on Substack, she's on YouTube, and I just think the way she's approached that and her craft over the past few years, she's well known. She spoke at the UN. She's sort of been a bridge between Gen Z sentiment and sort of the world of work, economics, the commercial environment. So I think she's pretty consistent in explaining what these things are, what they might mean. And she has her own perspectives and opinions, which I appreciate and I think are reasoned well. And she does the work to have an opinion. So I think it's important to have people like that in the space. My second is a guy named Professor Tom Yeh. He is an associate professor of computer science at the University of Colorado Boulder. He runs a newsletter called AI by Hand. And so he draws AI systems by hand.
Wow.
So he literally essentially will explain what like a transistor is or how a neural language network works, and then he'll hand illustrate it.
Oh,
And then he'll actually record the illustration in a time lapse, and then he'll do a voiceover of the time lapse. And so if you think about like how powerful it is when you hear like people being like new network dropped, right? These things are like DJ drama things. It's OpenAI. It's like new drama, right? That's just like, that's crazy. Like there's a new model, like, 4.5. And I think he's someone I go to think about like, what does this look like? He also dropped a physical workbook. So you can actually buy like his drawings, and you can essentially sit back and think about the last 2 to 3 years. He'll go live, he'll talk to other researchers, and he's a professor. And so he's sort of at the edge of this work with his peers, studying and teaching and doing research, but he develops his research and then places it in public. And I also think that's the point of scholarship, is not to be in the tower, but to actually be in the street and explaining to people what you see from your vantage point and how you use your heuristic to think about what you see. And it's some of the most public, available, easy to engage research about AI I've seen, right? If you don't understand AI, if you're just like, I glaze over, he will hand draw something in 45 seconds and he'll do it in color so you can experience like what is going on when you prompt.
Wow.
So like he'll draw the inside of the software so you can see it. And I just think that's like really, really empowering. It's a really special skill to have. Our last analyst is Amanda Sabreah. She's on Instagram a lot.
Okay, you've got the skills. Maybe you have a product that's already generating revenue. Maybe you have the vision or the message. But here's the harder question. How do people experience you?
Going viral on my feed a lot. And she'll do sort of picture-in-picture cultural analysis of sort of anything from 50 Cent's Confidence to kind of a brand aficionado. I see her as a sort of culture and business sociologist of sorts. And so she'll take a moment or an event and sort of in 2 to 3 minutes break it down and explain how you might shift your psychology as a founder or a creator to think about sort of brand versus narrative, and sort of taking those words and making them tangible, which I think again is back to this idea of the expertise creator and sort of the validity and the trust and the authenticity that comes from being a practitioner. She also has a strategy practice where she works with founders to get them sort of aligned to what their strategy is going to be. And so I've just been impressed by her, how prolific she is with her analysis and the format. Similar to Oren, she shows up in the same way. She kind of has a uniform. People know what to expect from her. And I think that that is powerful because essentially she has a signal that you can sort of immediately recognize and respond to. So for me, that stuff is really, really important. Okay, on to platforms. As I mentioned earlier, platforms are ecosystems that have emerged from a simple idea, whether that be a podcast, a show, an idea, and have taken on a life of their own. Carl, what are your favorite platforms?
Yeah, so I've got 2 platforms that I really rock with. One is TBPN, Technology Brothers Podcast Network. They're a duo based out of LA. They've basically taken the world by storm this year. They're basically CNBC for Silicon Valley. And what they've been able to accomplish in the last year is nothing short of amazing. Like, they've gone from relatively obscure to Wall Street Journal features in like less than a year. So the 2 main folks are Jordy Hayes and John Coogan. They're both Silicon Valley vets who, both came up in different ways. But John was on YouTube for years. Jordy has been a founder for many years, and basically they decided to kind of bring their efforts together and launch like what was a podcast to what is now like basically the daily live show for an entire industry. If you're a founder in Silicon Valley in deep technology, you're doing everything you can to get on their show right now because they have completely owned everyone's attention in that space. What I find interesting is the way, one, just like how public their moves have been, and also like how they're like completely okay with failing in public with certain things, right? Like you'll go on their YouTube page and you'll see that most of their like videos have like 100 views and they don't take them all down. They keep them all up, right? But on Twitter, when they go live, like thousands of people are watching them for multiple hours a day live. And they're also on Substack dropping heat. They're on Twitter doing summaries. They are basically a Twitter live show. Because that's where their core audience is. And just like not only on a conceptual level, but the way they execute, I find is really interesting. For example, because they're doing a live show, when they're doing ads, you have to sit through the ads live, right? Which I think from a monetization standpoint, brands are like, yes, this is the money that I'm looking for. Pure attention, folks who are locked in, and they're doing their ad reads and they're not ashamed of doing it. Another platform I really rock with is Rashawn Smith's and Perry Dash's platform, Super Niche. Underneath Super Niche is the Risk Check podcast. But Super Niche as a platform is a platform that just focuses on items, focuses on well, yeah, I think items is the right word, but basically if you're looking to purchase an item, right? Or if you're looking to kind of get what is the next hot thing in luxury, right? Most folks, they chase brands, but what Super Niche does is it actually provides like a deep contextual level behind the items that it is that you're chasing, right? So Risk Check Pod, for example, is an asset underneath Super Niche where they do deep tailored analysis around watches. And not only are they walking you through the movements and walking you through the creator of the watch, right? But they're also having conversations with people who collect watches and why they love the watches that they collect. They go into detail about how the industry works. And a lot of that foundation is actually reflected back in Super Niche. So Risk Check is focused on watches, but Super Niche as a platform is just focused on high ticket items, right? Like whether you're looking to buy a perfume, right, or a cologne, you're thinking, oh yeah, I need to go to Le Labo, or I need to go to this person, and he'll say, hey, that's a niche cologne, but this is a super niche cologne, right? And you're probably looking for something of this taste level, right? What it's doing is actually helping people refine their taste because they believe that because a lot of people believe that taste exists in labels, but taste actually exists in knowledge. And that's what they're doing with their platform. So shout out to the boys at Super Niche.
Yeah, this idea of craftsmanship is interesting. I think TBPN and Super Niche reflect this idea that it doesn't have to be new, it needs to be distinctive. And so TBPN essentially has elements of SportsCenter, elements of the nightly news, and Super Niche has elements that of following people who are craftsmen, who are building products in places that you might not know, for people that are excited to not just purchase but hand down. And so it's a question of legacy, which is really interesting. So I have two platforms. One of them is The Cutting Room Floor by Richo. So The Cutting Room Floor is largely known as the fashion industry's only fashion podcast, started by Rachel Omnady, who was a designer for 15 years and has started an incredible platform. And for me, it is one of the best interview shows on the internet, bar none. The quality of guest, the quality of conversation, the discourse, and fashion, to many, regardless if you're in the industry or not, hasn't had sort of a display in this media sense ever, right? But typically you have high fashion publications, you have legacy media, but what she has been able to do with the cutting room floor is to actually change the format of delivery of those conversations. And so to me, that would be enough. But the idea that she decided that the work was valuable, she's going to paywall it, and people are like not just proud to pay, but excited about what's happening next, is a model I think that she went early with, right? So this was 2021, I believe, when she put everything behind the wall. And since then, she's grown tremendously. She's gone viral at least 5 or 6 times that I know of this year. And that's just even on sort of clips I've seen crack into my sort of very small corner of the internet. And the show is still private. So you only ever get 10, 15-minute clips at a time ever. So that means people are in there, and the clip itself is so potent. The interview itself is so specific that, you know, Mark Jacobs telling you about parts of his life you didn't even know existed. Gwyneth Paltrow having a sit-down interview on a podcast on Patreon.
I really loved her interview with Soleil Benbury this year.
That was hard.
That was a fire interview, and they really dug back to like early 2010s streetwear, like giving a nod out to Madbury and the work that they've done and how that continues to like influence the era that we're in fashion too. Yo, cutting room floor is really, really smoking it, dog.
Yeah, it's them. Like top 2, and it's abundantly clear it's not 2. So yeah, I've been a fan, but this year I appreciated her instincts. Like, she's just a real deal operator, and she knows exactly what people want, and she's also not afraid to demand more of the audience. Like, I also think just having the confidence in yourself to be like, no, this is valuable, I'm putting it behind the wall. If you want it, it is available to you. I think more people could do well to embrace that level of honesty and like allowing people to find you. And she put a lot of work in previous to that to make sure people knew what she was executing on and how she was doing it. And she's been in that industry for 15 years. She's well connected, well respected, and has been exceptional wherever she's worked. And so that also, you don't lose the credibility by transitioning how you show up. That credibility carries with you. And I think that's something that more people who have an interest in changing their format of how people encounter them would do well to remember, that your network is going to be incredibly valuable, not just now, but later on. And so being great at what you do here actually has the compounding impact of being useful later. The other platform that I have been deeply in tune with and impressed by is Deante Kyle and Grits and Eggs podcast. To me, Deante Kyle is an example of the necessity and demand for a spectrum of Black thought, and particularly Black political thought. What Deante Kyle has been able to do, I believe, is to, in a direct, clear, unapologetic way, enlighten people without shame, challenge them without degradation, and hold them accountable without fear-mongering. And that requires a certain level of security in yourself to know what you don't know and to be willing to learn what you don't know. And I think that the way he carries himself and the way he communicates unflinchingly and the way he has invited people in is reflected in the way that the audience has received him, and he has carved his own lane, right? And I think there's a lot of people that speak about authenticity, and I actually don't really believe in authenticity, frankly, as an idea. I do believe in perspective. I think sometimes when people say I'm authentic, what they're saying is I'm just unvarnished and you should like it. What I think authenticity is actually a reflection of having made a decision about who you're going to be and choosing to be that person regardless of where you show up. And Deante Kyle is an example of someone who decided, I'm going to say what I need to say, and I'm going to iterate and pivot as I learn what people are responsive to, how that works. I can be in here and I don't have to lose my integrity. I can be a part of this cultural expression without having to compromise my core values. I can be intellectual, and I can also remind you guys that I'll slap fire out of you, and I don't have to like pick and choose. And I do think that there has been a lot of conversation around what we need, what we should do, what could happen. But Deante Kyle is doing the kinds of things people said we should have more of. And whether you like it, whether you don't know what to do with it, whether you think it's too much, that is immaterial to the fact that there is real resonance. He's growing and he is creating an environment that people want to be a part of and are choosing to opt into. And I think if you want to use your voice for something, there are lessons to be learned from what Deante Kyle has done and what he has called to account, the kinds of things he has allowed people to consciously consider, to ask questions of. And I think that is not just worthy of veneration. He doesn't need that from me, but I do think it's worth acknowledging. He's built the kind of platform people say they want to support without their support. And so I don't mean that negatively, but I do mean I think we lie to ourselves if we pretend that there aren't certain kinds of voices that we would prefer to see. And then there are voices we need. And I think at a time like this, you can say we're not a monolith while still hoping we become one. And I think Deante's not going for any of that. And I have nothing but respect for somebody who's willing to stand on their square regardless.
Honest to God, bro, I don't think there's ever been a time that I listened to Deante and didn't say to myself, I gotta get my shit together. Like literally all of the things that I, thought I believed about myself as a black man, all of the things that as a black man just walking through the world that I kind of used to tell myself or kind of used to think could actually improve the goals of my people. Like he has made me look myself in the mirror and say, my nigga, maybe you're wrong, or maybe there was just a better way that you could look at this. Right. And he is like unflinchingly unapologetic in the way that he carries himself. And like, we need that. Like, I be feeling like he like low key past life Black Panther for real, just like, yo, this is what we need to be doing. This is how it needs to go. And like, that that's how it needs to go. Right. Like when you hear what he has to say, it taps you in somewhere in your soul where you're like, oh yeah, this is actually real, this is actually true, this is actually well researched, and this is actually genuine.
Yeah, man. Conviction always demands a response. So you can always tell when somebody's not convicted because they'll fold. But he's not gonna fold on that. And that's why, like, you can tell real leadership because he had to live it first before he could get on camera and just like talk. Right. And it's like that comes from a place. And I think anytime you see that, it's your choice whether you salute it or not. Right. Okay. We're nearing the end here. We're gonna land the plane. So we wanted to have, instead of bets, we wanted to take some time to think about, one big prediction we have for 2026. These are things that, me and Carl each have studied. So we wanted to make sure it was one big prediction. We'll come back to this, we'll clip this up, and a year from now, we'll see how right we were. We'll grade ourselves clearly, but we wanted to kind of have one big, assessment that we think is something that we think is going to emerge in the next 12 months or so that we're going to track really closely. Carl, what's that for you?
Yeah, for me, I feel like 2026 is going to be the year of prediction markets. I feel like prediction markets are going to hit the black community like them crates in 2020 did.
All right, a stern warning from the FDA against a new challenge that is popping up on social media. It's called the Milk Crate Challenge.
Like, I feel like the CIA just dropped prediction markets off in our hood, and we about to figure out like how crazy it's gonna go. So for context, there are two major prediction markets, and one of them is Poly Market, and the other one is Kalshi. And basically, what makes a prediction market is that people get to go onto these applications and basically predict what they believe will happen in the future, and can also back that prediction financially. So they could say, hey, I think X is gonna happen. I bet $5 that it is. And someone can actually choose the opposite side of that bet, or the opposite side of that prediction, and actually put capital behind that as well. And what we've seen in 2025 is prediction markets becoming a data source for election outcomes. So you've probably seen, whether it was billboards or whether it was online, Poly Market projects Zohran Mamdani is going to win the mayoral campaign by and the 85% chance, right? And what's interesting is that both candidates and the news started referencing that. And what has happened in the last few months is that Kalshi is actually signed a deal with CNBC, which we believe now is going to be a media play for Kalshi, but also more people are engaging with these platforms. And I believe what's going to start to happen is that as it starts to really permeate the culture, like, our folks are going to start making bets on these platforms. And it's not just this idea of, like, I'm going to bet the money line that LeBron's going to drop 30, or KD is going to give me, 25, 10, and 15. No, this is something completely different. This is LeBron going to retire this year or not? I bet $500, right? And I think once our folks kind of get their hands on that, like, it's going to become like a nuclear bomb for our folks. It's something I'm scared about, but also it's a way to kind of, in a weird way, really identify what people believe. So it's an innovative technology, but an innovative technology that I believe will be used for evil in 2026.
Earlier, I showed one of the many weather contracts we offer on the platform. Here's another one. Some people have already started to realize that using prediction markets can be cheaper than conventional fire, flood, and hurricane insurance. You can just place a trade on your phone without having to deal with a traditional broker.
That's my prediction for the upcoming year.
My prediction is that YouTube basketball will become a household viewing experience for people. For context, YouTube basketball refers to what is typically known as park runs or 1v1. And so if you, like me, are an and one baby and you grew up watching Hot Sauce or The Professor or Escalade, you know that and one did not materialize into what it could have been. But what it did do was sort of shine a light on street basketball and the level of talent in neighborhoods and environments all over the US. From that, there were other things that emerged. So you have two main players in this space. One is called Ball is Life. Ball is Life began as sort of a mixtape video company that was actually highlighting some of the players we grew up loving. So these were the guys who would show up at KD's AAU game or at some of LeBron's earliest or late high school games, and we're capturing footage. These guys have thousands of videos of players that we now know, open runs, park sets, all kinds of stuff, right? As the internet matured, they began to actually do showcases, one-on-one games, street basketball, things of that nature. So as YouTube matured, people get around audiences, street basketball has always been a thing. If you know New York, if you know DC, if you know New Orleans, if you know Dallas, if you know cities that have sort of basketball talent coming out of them, then you understand this. And in those cities, there have always been people who were king of the court, people who were nice. In light of that, over time, this space sort of transitioned online. The pandemic was a watershed moment for these spaces, where I will introduce the other main player in this, which is called TNC, or known as The Next Chapter. Because street basketball has a culture, it has a feel, it has a style, it has energy associated with it because it emanates from a real place. There is a kind of fandom that I would say is only akin to battle rap, right? And so people have their favorite battle rappers, they have their favorite leagues, they have their favorite tournaments. If you know, you know. If you understand what Murder Mook versus Party Artie was, I don't need to explain that to you. If you don't know, you're just like, what is that? If you know who Reed Dollars is in the barbershop with the oversized tee with the dog chains out,
Loaded Lux,
then you know what we're talking about, right? And so YouTube basketball has that same level of in-person fandom and energy, but it's supercharged now because of three distinct factors. One, streaming. What this means is that people are actually now adjudicated to watching things live. So the technology is actually more available. Two, the fact that YouTube is TV, which means that I actually can broadcast this from wherever I am as long as I have the camera equipment, and I can record that game, and then people can watch the game I already streamed live. And three, the evolution of combat sports. Why does this matter? Because 1v1 basketball, like UFC, is about personalities, not just the game. When you play 1v1 basketball, you have different rules. 4 dribbles to the hoop. 2 fouls back to back, free throws. Can't win a game on a free throw. Game to 30, right? It's actually combat. It's you versus me. So my view on this is because you have institutionalized things like Ball is Life, which have a large tenure, and you have new players like TNC, which is attached to a YouTuber named Deante Frigga, who came together with a former Ball is Life employee to form TNC. You now have rivalry, and that makes the pie bigger. Now you have players like Rob Colon, Nesco, Zay, Uncle Scoob, Lamar Peters, Nazir Kaur, who each have their own individual audiences who want to see people play. I have a personal experience with this. I was at the Gauchos gym. My friend Sandra, who runs partnerships at Ball is Life, invited me to a game. I show up. I take the 1 train. I get there dumb late. It's like 8:15. Cool. Walk in the gym. Packed. If you know New York City basketball, you understand the Gaucho's gym is legendary. You can't even walk in there. You can't even walk in there if you're not putting somebody on their back. Like, you got to be nice to hang in the rafters up there. Gaucho's is packed. Okay. It's 8 p.m. This joint started at 4. I got there at 8:15. It is packed out. Right. So I'm in there. I walk in, security. Cool. I have not been in an environment that live since the summer of 2016. I haven't felt that kind of like this gym could go any way ever.
Briscoe back with you. 25-13.
I've never seen a crowd that mixed ever in my life. I saw a dude with his child on his lap trying to lean over the banister to see who was going to win. His baby is asleep in his lap, and he was trying to keep the baby asleep and see who was going to win the basketball game. I am telling you right now, people want to feel things, and YouTube basketball is the closest thing you have to live action event. I saw a game that was so charged it didn't even finish. Nazir Kaur was playing an opponent who ended up not finishing the game on a call. 28-29. Didn't like the call, walked out. I saw money on the floor. I saw a dude pull out, and I saw a man pull out 20 large and put it on the ground doing the money phone. There were at least 70,000 cash bets on the floor.
Prediction
in
market.
the gym. Like, I got it on me. It's on my man. He would never lose. I'm trying to tell you, if you are doing an event next year, if you have a live activation, if you want to get people, if you need a younger market, put a hoop at your event. Call Ball is Life, call TNC, send the wire, and watch people show up, because there is nothing like one-on-one basketball to 30. Nothing. There is a reason that Michael Beasley and the pride of Coney, Lance Stevenson, played for 100 large, okay, earlier this year. And do you want to know who live commentated that game? Who, Jonathan? Thanks for asking. Kyrie Irving. When you have NBA players interested in one-on-one basketball, when you have 3v3 as an Olympic sport, when you have the NBA looking to grow the game and go global, it means that there are other professionals who are very skilled at basketball that are looking to play at a high level. In the same way boxing could not stop UFC. This is coming. It will not stop. And the commercial opportunities will continue to grow, because these are both extension opportunities, because you could wrap the court, you could wrap the players, you could wrap the environment, and then there's the live component. So now people can have their own pay-per-view events because you can live stream, and the cost of a pay-per-view event could go from $80 to watch a boxing match to $20 for 7 basketball games.
That's exactly what me and my boy Julian did. Like, we paid $20 for a pay-per-view just to watch Nas wash people, bro. Literally. And like the feeling, it feels like when I was like 15 in Seaview Park, July, everybody's outside, everybody's talking trash.
There were a lot of rappers with their jewelry on, just enjoying the game in the cut.
It's that Rucker Park feel, you know, back in the day when Kobe used to come out and ball out. You know what I mean? It's that, but we get to stream that now, and people get to watch that at home. That's gonna be a big.
It's my prediction. It's coming. It's coming.
It's gonna be huge,
it's coming. It's
bro.
coming. It's unregulated. It's big. People are excited about it. It's going to grow. So that's my prediction is I think as we talk about, we want to be live, we want to be offline, we want to, okay, this is a new way to experience the game. And that energy is infectious because it's you versus me to 30. And if I wash you, everyone saw it. So it's gladiator sport. It's I could skunk you. I could really be up 6-30 and you got to eat that loss in front of the world. That's it. Okay. Do we have any words of encouragement for the people walking into 2026?
Look, keep tapping in, keep locking in, keep showing up. Your time is coming. Your time is coming. Your time is coming. John?
The truth is never afraid of investigation. Ever. The capacity you think you need is hidden behind the accountability you avoid and the community you won't be accountable to. I think inspiration is cheap. I think more of us probably need systems that work for who we are instead of goals that reveal what we don't actually want. And so in this next year, I hope that you find the people that you want to work with. I hope you realize you don't have to monetize every hobby. I hope you realize that the lowest agency thing you could do is not be judicious about who you follow and why. I hope you take a personal audit of if you believe the things you believe and ask yourself, is this helping my flourishing? And I don't know, beyond that, I hope you keep tuning in. We have more things coming. We're grateful. You know, this has been a labor of love. You know, if it wasn't for Carl, I'd probably never be on camera. I really don't even enjoy this that much. But
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
But I love my best friend, and so I'm grateful, and I think that this has been it's an opportunity to serve. It's an opportunity to share what we know. It's an opportunity to kind of grow and hopefully give you something of value, of merit that gives you fuel for what you're doing, perspective for where you're going, and insights into what you can build and how to build it. So I'm Jonathan. This is Carl. Don't follow me. Don't follow us. Follow the money, and we'll see you in 2026.